Welcome to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. We're airing every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Zeno Radio /Fave, F-A-V-E, Unite Radio, FM. I'm Joy Ruffin, Leadership and Signature Style Specialist, your Minister of Enlightenment, Awareness, and Awakenings. We're here diving into honest conversations about power, presence, and purpose. I'll be sitting down with a featured guest speaker every week who'll bring you fresh insights on the divine masculine and the divine feminine and all that it entails, because we all carry both within us, no matter our gender. Woo, remember that. It's about alignment. It's about leadership, and it's about building a legacy that's true to you. So whether you're listening in for inspiration, direction, or just a new perspective, it's all meant to stir something in you. Remember, there's always more waiting for you at joyruffin.com. Now, my League of Eagles, all you have to do is sit back and get comfortable, whatever that means to you. And let's get into today's conversation. I'm excited. I'm always excited because I love writers. So today we have a writer, and her name, and let me tell you just a wee bit about her. You know what I love about writers? And my writer, my featured guest speaker today, she gave me a brief, very succinct bio. And I love that because what you want to know is what does she do and how does she do it and how can it support you? Bonnie Cehovet. Ooh, I love that name. Has a little bit of French in it, wouldn't you say? She's a published author of cozy mysteries and cozy romance. Ooh, I like how they can blend together. She also has an interest in flash fiction, and she is supervised by her breed of cats. I love this. She has a sense of humor too. The orange tabby, and her cat is named Pumpkin. And she lives in Nevada. I love Nevada. Been all through it. And I think she's in Las Vegas. We're going to find out. So friends, my Eagles, sit back and help me say hello and welcome to Bonnie Cehovet. Bonnie, so good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I have, as you know, Joy, I have followed you for a long time now and very happily done so. I really like what you're doing to promote women, as you say now, to promote the masculine and the feminine. And I thank you from all of us.
Oh, bless your heart. You know, it's amazing how we began to build our communities and our tribe and our cozy whatever. I hear a little clicking on your side there. We have to be quiet because the studio is very whatever. If we touch anything, the sound comes through. But thank you so much. That was a warm, sincere compliment, and I'm embracing it. But you know what? I want to extend it right back to you because first off, as I said, I mentioned, I think to you maybe, but maybe not the audience. The library was my second home for all my different reasons. I have a lot of learning disabilities and I was a voracious reader. But you're sending me something that I have a vague understanding of, and that's a cozy mystery writer. Tell me what that is and why you chose to be a writer.
Okay. Well, like you, I lived in libraries, just from the time that I could read. Thanks to my mother, she would take all three of us kids to the library, and I would be the one that would be carrying home as many books as I could, literally.
I love
as many books as I could. So anyway, why did I choose to be a writer? Well, I've always been a reader. Okay, and I think before you can be a writer, you have to be a reader. And I have always loved to write. I didn't have a real interest in science, didn't have a real interest in mathematics, but I loved to write. I thought that was a lot of fun. I've also been secretary for almost every organization that I've been in. Other people didn't want to do it, and I didn't mind. I liked it. I love to share my thought process with my readers and what I find important. Now, I like the cozy category. Okay. I like the cozy category because you don't have violence, you don't have bad language, what you have is, think of kind of a 1940s type life, updated, of course, to the present. But the cozy mysteries are basically small town, okay, and they're people who know each other, and I love to write them, and I hope that the people who read them enjoy them, and it's a little time out in their day, and that we get away from the bad things that are going on around us. So that's what a cozy is. It's like you're not going to get any bad shocks in them.
I love your explanation and how you started off and what you gave us. I hear something. Is Tabby moving around in your studio with you? Because I can hear these movements every now and then, and we have to be still.
No, my little boy Pumpkin is outside. He's out on the patio. She's
outside. Then maybe it's just your hands touching your desk or something. But let me just piggyback on what you said there, Bonnie, because I love it. And because I'm a voracious reader and I'm also a researcher, and I like to investigate things that I'm not that familiar with because I love learning. So your explanation of what a cozy mystery is great. And what you said that really marinated with me is that you said a reader usually can be a good writer. One takes into the other, and you were the secretary in everything that you did. I looked it up and it says, and you gave us an excellent description. A cozy mystery writer is a book that is considered a cozy mystery if it features a crime, usually murder with limited on-page violence, profanity, and explicit sex. Is exactly what you said. And often set in a small, intimate community. You said that as well. And the sleuth, I love this, I love the sleuth, is usually an amateur. And the story is generally lighthearted and comforting. So based on what you share with us, is that why you came? Because like me, I loathe profanity and all of that explicit sex. We don't know. We know what goes on. So is that why you chose to be a cozy mystery? One of the many reasons. I think you gave it to us, but tell us more about that.
Well, I really like the cozy mysteries because for me, it's what I like to read. Now, obviously, if you've seen my bookshelves, I've got all kinds of mysteries. I really like Laurie R. King's Sherlock Holmes mysteries. Okay. And they're really, they could be, they pretty much, they have a lot of action in them, but they could pretty much be called cozy mysteries too. What I like about a cozy mystery is that you can add a lot of things to it. Okay. I have a couple of them that I really like. Joanne Fluke's Hannah Swenson mysteries. Okay. It's set in a small town. There's a pet cat in it. She's got 2 boyfriends. The boyfriends are not at 10 paces type boyfriends. Okay. There's all kinds of family dynamics there. It's an interesting read. You go to the Cleo Coyle Coffee House mysteries. Okay. Takes place in New York. Okay. But it takes place in one of the, it's called the Village Blend. And so it's in a specific part of New York City. So it's like, it's not a big city thing. It is, but it isn't. Okay. She is a master roaster of coffee beans. Her ex-husband sources the beans. Her ex-mother-in-law owns the place. And then you've got Laura Child and the Tea House Mysteries. Again, it takes place in Charleston, North Carolina, but it takes place in a specific part of the town, which is considered the historic part of town. There's a lot of information there. She has a dog. Okay, so she brings that in. She doesn't just serve tea either. She serves luncheons. She's got a young chef. And I mean, all of these elements come into it. And that's one of the reasons that I like cozies. Plus the fact that I wouldn't feel comfortable writing about somebody shooting somebody because I couldn't picture it in my head. It's like, what do I do? Is that gun too big for them to use?
That makes a lot of sense.
Does this seem logical? No, I can put logical in the cozies. But if I wanted to go for a full bore mystery, I would have my readers saying, Bonnie, this is not exactly possible for them to do. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense, Bonnie. That makes a lot of sense what you just ended there with. But you know what? I want to ask you something. I ought to know it because Starbucks is one of my favorite places. And now they have tea. They always had, I suppose. But you said the village blend and the tea. I never heard the expression. I've heard barista, but a master roaster. Never heard of it.
Her husband sources the beans. And so she gets the coffee beans as coffee beans. Okay. And then she roasts them. And so, depending on the roasting process that a coffee roaster uses, you get the different strengths of coffees.
Yes.
You can infuse them. You can infuse them with, with different flavors. Quite frankly, I really, 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 really like vanilla coffee. Vanilla flavored coffee. Yeah, I do.
Well, I know not all about, but I know enough about coffee, and I'm in Starbucks almost every day, and I know they have all kinds of coffee machines. I know about roasting and blending and infusing, but I never heard of a master roaster, but why not? There are all other types. And then the way that it's...
And it's the same in the Tea House Mysteries, okay? Mm-hmm. She has a tea sommelier, okay? And Laura Childs was very smart. She made him English. She put his background as being an Englishman.
I never heard of a tea sommelier. Now that's a new one. I
hadn't either until that series.
That's great. You know what? When you talk about cozy mysteries, I've always loved mysteries, and almost all of the popular, there's so many of them, but I think of Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle and Edgar Allan Poe and Dashiell Hammett, all of these people who wrote and are bestsellers. Stephen King, The Shining, who hasn't seen in this generation now, The Shining, even though it's 20, 30 years ago. But I had not heard of cozy mysteries, but now I really understand it, and I'm grateful that you're doing it because our language has taken a hit, Bonnie, because it seems that foul language and four-letter words are part of the conversation now, and it's not necessary. I don't know how it's seeped into our language, but it's there. And what you're saying and what you're doing as a cozy mystery writer, and we'll go on to romance, it's because you're leaving all of that out. You're leaving a lot to the imagination. Is that what I'm hearing? Because that's what I'm receiving, and that's what I like.
Yes. Well, we meaning cozy mystery writers, okay, try to present a good storyline, and it is a mystery. Believe me, they are mysteries. Okay.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And the one that I've got out now, the cozy mystery one, is talking about mafia type people and all kinds of things, but nobody cusses. There's a lot of action there, but nobody cusses, nobody does anything bad, and there is a cat in that one too. Yes.
Well, you love cats, right? I love it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, listen. What is the title of this book that's out now, and who would be your audience? What age range? Predominantly women, men, or do you have the statistics on that? Because I'm confessing to you that I love mysteries, and I attempt to keep up to date, but I wasn't that familiar, and that's why I'm eager to share with us about cozy mysteries, because I wasn't that familiar with them. I'm not. So,
yeah, the cozy mystery that I have right now is, and I've got the second one in the works already, is Annie's Antiques. She owns an antique shop.
Annie's Antiques?
Annie's Antiques. Yeah.
I like the name. Okay, nice and simple and easy. Okay. Uh-huh.
That's exactly it. And she the way the book starts out is she has gone to an auction and bought like a whole I wouldn't want to call it a trunk, I guess a box full of things. Mm-hmm. And what happens is when they go through the box, there's a book in there. Okay. And it's an old book, and it has to do with World War II and code breakers. It's like it was written by one of the code breakers, and it was just his journal is what it was. But there's people looking for it now. Okay. Evil people. are looking for it.
Evil.
Evil people are looking for it now. Yes.
Oh,
and
my
so
goodness.
there's a lot of action, but action that you would expect. Okay. That kind of thing. And she has a very solid businessman boyfriend, who has connections. And so, it gets interesting. It gets interesting.
It sounds interesting. I'm already intrigued by it. So let me ask you, the concept, how do you seed these books, and from the beginning seed until the completion, what is the time frame? And I'm sure it's different for each and every project, but for a book like this, Annie's Antiques, how does it begin? How long does it take? And what's the time span there?
Now, are you talking how long it takes me to write it, or the time span of the book?
How long it takes you to write it, and then the second part would be exactly what you said. How thick or big is the book? Blah blah blah, that type of thing.
Okay.
We want numbers. We want.
It depends on what else is going on in my life, and I suppose it's that way for any other writer.
Right.
They can take several months to write, and then of course you rewrite. You're checking for grammar. You're doing all of these things. I would say that any book that, well, maybe I shouldn't say this because in the future it could change, but right now I like to keep the time span down to a couple of months, 2-3 months. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
A lot can happen in that time.
Oh, of course. Life. Life happens.
Yeah, life happens. Life happens.
Yeah. So we're talking approximately contingent upon the book and the life experiences that you're having at the time. It can be anywhere from 6 months to a year, I suppose, contingent upon the book and the length and the chapters and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, that is true.
Now, I might be out of line, but I'm always out of line and out of the box. Bonnie, how many of these cozy mysteries have you written?
Okay, I've got one that's up in print. I've got one that's up and coming, and I'm starting the cozy romances at the same time.
Yay! Oh my goodness, I was waiting to get to the cozy romance because you have the two, I would think, you tell me, largest genres that are here, mystery and romance. Well, they kind of go together in a different way. So how did you start with your cozy romance? How did that come into the picture?
Well, I started writing the mystery first. Okay.
Yes. Right.
And believe me, you can put it up on Amazon, but you've got to know how to promote it.
Absolutely. Okay? Yes.
Which, I'm still working on the promotion bit, so it's going to take me years to get going here. One thing that I did find out is what you just stated, and that is that romance and mystery are the two big sellers.
They are.
Okay?
They are. Yeah.
And so in my tiny little mind, I said, well, I'm going to continue writing my mysteries and hopefully learn how to promote them. But I'm also going to do romances because they'll probably sell better. That was what my little mind told me. That's why I got into.
Let me back you up a minute. There's nothing tiny and little about your mind. I understand how and why you're saying that because I use some verbiage like that myself. But anybody who's a writer, there's no tiny little mind, okay? So let's go forward with that. You have a very big, broad, imaginative mind, or you wouldn't be able to conceive these mysteries and cozy romances and so on. So you can stop there, Bonnie. Go ahead. No, it takes a lot of energy and consistency and tenacity to be able to complete these books that you're writing, whether they're cozy mysteries or romance. So how did you but I'm still wanting to, how did you come to staying with the mysteries, but segue over into the romance?
Well, it is basically the money. Okay. Once I can start, get a handle on promoting. Okay. My thought is that because romance does sell better than mystery.
Isn't that amazing?
That, romance can basically fund the mysteries.
Now that's a salient point that you're making there, because I don't think most even come to that realization after a while. I was thinking, and I had a list of questions to ask you, and that was one, because I think even today, Bonnie, with all of this awareness supposedly about love and romance, and the universal language is love. But I'm thinking, well, that's probably I'm thinking of the romance writers, but I'm thinking, is it as big as it used to be? So that's my question to you. But yet you're telling me it is, because that's the moneymaker, more so than the mystery.
Well, it is. And if you stop and think about what's going on, excuse me, if you stop and think about what's going on in the world right now, it's extremely upsetting, especially if you're, like we are, U.S. citizens.
Yes. I find that. Thank you, Bonnie, for saying that. Yes.
My thought here, and I have a couple of friends who I know they do this, and it's just they read simply to get into another world, okay, we can't forget about what's going on, but to put it into perspective. You pick up a book and you go into that world for an hour or however long you're going to read. And so my thought is that if I put the romances out there, that it will actually, I'll give them a good story, but it will also help people be grounded, be centered, see the joy in life.
You know what? Let me interject here for a moment, because I liked how you word. This is why I love writers, and I'm a wordsmith in my fashion with all of my issues. But you said romance is still popular today because it supports people, and won't separate male or female or kids to get into another world. For me, it was a form of escapism. Because of all the stuff that I was dealing with as a young girl, the library became a home, because I could go in and get into those books, and I would be absolutely mesmerized and completely enthralled with what I was reading. And I had these great librarians who helped me to be able to do that. But I like the way you said it. Today, it's more like, it's not so much escapism, even though that's a form of it. It's more like getting into another world and getting away from maybe what your issues or concerns might be at the time. And I was thinking maybe that's not as popular as it was back in my day, but from what I'm hearing from you, tell me if I'm wrong or not, it's still very popular. Books are still current, and I'm not as big of a reader as I used to be. You find that it's still prevalent today, reading?
I think that it's still prevalent today. And we have to remember, or maybe I didn't mention it earlier, but the audience that I'm looking for, I'm not necessarily writing for women, but I don't think that men might read the mysteries, although they would poo-poo my mysteries because I don't shoot anybody. Okay. But I really think that, with the audience that I'm looking for, which would be maybe 50s on up,
that's what I want to ask.
I'm 76, okay, so we have a different thought process. And,
I was going to ask you about your audience, and I asked you that before, and it wasn't as clear as it ought to have been when I asked you, but that's what I was asking you about your audience. Who do you think it is? And I like the way you qualified neither men or women, even though men, I love laughter. And when you said your mysteries don't include shooting somebody, it cracked me up, because as far as action and violence and mystery for men, I mean, that's a part of it, it seems. But your mysteries are full of all the other good stuff. But the audience, that's, what do they call it now? The niche. So you're saying you're looking for that entity, gender, male or female, that's from the age of 50 on up, as opposed to 50 going back the other way.
Right. That's
Do
true.
you think that's because of the AI taking over the whole educational system, and people don't read anymore? They read on their iPads and so on. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that could very possibly be true. But if you think about it, I think it's great if they can, if you want to read it on your iPad or read it, read the ebooks, I put, as writers, we're advised to put our books out in the three major ways, okay, which is, ebook, hardback, and audio.
Ah.
And so that's ebook and hardback. I have done audio. I'm kind of still looking into, but yeah, I'm going to offer them on all three categories because you want to build up, your back books. Okay. So that when somebody picks up your most recent book and you head them towards the books that you've already got published, you're making more sales. But also in the books that I've read, and I was talking about the coffee house and the tea house and the Hannah Svensson mysteries, food. Aside from pets, there's pets in all of them, food. They feature food, and these obviously they're all three women authors, and they've put out cookbooks. They put recipes at the end of their books. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so it's for women, like I say, 50 on up. Mm-hmm. I think that we're used to that. We're used to families that bake. We don't go to the store and get the stuff. We bake it ourselves and that kind of thing. So I think that, I'm kind of trying to model myself over these three authors that I just mentioned because...
Yes. You're making a very salient point, though, Bonnie, because my husband is legally blind, and he's just been turned on to and utilizing audiobooks. Mm-hmm. And I really think, not because of his predicament or situation, I should say, that audiobooks are going to become more and more popular. That's what I find. You get those people who can read them and put the essence and the core of what you're attempting to convey in your writings into the reading of the book. And some of them, he said to me, it's pure dreck. And other, I enjoyed that. So I think audiobooks are going to get more and more popular, especially with all of this newness. But you said ebooks, hardback, and audio. Are ebooks, you think, with your knowing more than I, because I haven't done my research, are ebooks more popular today than hardback books? Because I think maybe they're becoming extinct. Am I off kilter with that or what?
You're saying you think the ebooks are becoming?
No, I think hardback books are becoming extinct.
Hardbacks.
Yeah.
Okay. I really couldn't say. I think a lot of people choose ebooks for one thing because you can get them.
Yes.
On a reader. On an e-reader, which thanks to Amazon, if you're going through Amazon for your ebooks, okay. You no longer can download them on your computer. That was a big hoo-hoo a few months back. They did that. So you can read them online or you can read them on the Kindle reader.
Yes.
But that's it. And I think the reason that I'm not sure about the reason, but I think the reason that Amazon did that is because if it's downloaded to your computer,
yes,
somebody could take it and do a knockoff on their own. And I'm not talking about another writer. I'm talking about the sleazier people that are around.
Exactly. And they can promote and sell it and do whatever they want to in any way. So I can and I agree with you. But, I ask you about hardback books because I used to live in not only the library, but the bookstores and Barnes and Nobles and some of the others that are extinct now. But Barnes and Nobles, I was in the other day, and it's amazing to me. Maybe it was my time there. It was like almost empty when it used to be people were strolling around all the time. I don't know. But I love writers, and I think writers like artists and painters, they're very beyond creative, and they give us a lot of what we need to fill up our time, energy, and essence. So when you talk about the ability to do cozy mysteries and cozy romance novels, that really appeals to me because I think both of them are so much needed. But I love your honesty that you started to do the cozy romance books because of the money, and that would give you more of an audience or play with your mysteries. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, what are you hoping for? What is your prayer, and what is the ultimate outline or the outcome that you want your audience and the people who are reading your books to walk away with? Okay,
and I'm going to just reply to something that you just said, and that Absolutely. Is that you went into Barnes and Noble and there was no people walking around, or very few people. Okay,
right.
That does not necessarily mean that there aren't sales of hard books, hard copies. Okay,
yes.
And I'll tell you why, because people buy them online.
Good point. Good point. And I myself do that. And I love Amazon. So even though,
despite the fact that Jeff Bezos is making a jerk out of himself, I do a lot. Well, I do shopping for books in Amazon, and I shop for a lot of different things on Amazon. So
listen,
he's still going to have my money coming his way. But what I hope my readers take away from my books is that they get a little calm timeout. Okay. And I hear people going, Bonnie, a calm mystery? How boring. It's like, no, I want their timeout to be calm. The mystery won't be calm, but the timeout can be calm. Okay. And they can get a chance to look at, other parts of the country, things that are going on in other parts of the country. I want my readers to feel that they've read a good story, that they've had a break in their day that did something for them, that they liked my characters, that my characters are interesting. Okay. And I think every writer will say this, at least every writer who wants to do a series. They want to build a series that their audience will enjoy, that their readers will enjoy following.
Yum, 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 yum. You know what you said, all of it, I received it. I've taken it in. But what you really said, the pivotal one that is marinating within me, is the character building and how you want your audience to love the characters. Now that's it can be maybe a little bit on the iffy side. So how do you do that? Let's just say, I'm going to give you an example, and you will love this because I know you not knowing you. Stephen King in The Shining, and Jack Nicholson played this part, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't but everybody fell in love with Jack Nicholson, even though he was a nutcase in that movie. So, I mean, how do you get us to love the character? What is it? What are some of the qualities that you imbue or embody in your characters to allow us to fall in love with them, or to like or appreciate them or value, whatever verbiage you choose to use? How do you do that?
Well, for one thing, I want my characters to be authentic. Okay. So from book to book, they have to be the same person. They'll grow, but they have to be the same person. They don't lie. They don't do anything like that. I want my characters to be interested in people and in doing the right thing. I think my characters build themselves by interacting with each other. And, I don't really have to stop and think about it because my characters write themselves.
Ooh.
If I start to write a scene, maybe I'm not too sure in the beginning of the scene what I'm going to say, and I just start getting into it. If it's not going well, one or more of the characters is going to jump up and say, you really need to stop. You really need to go back and think about this. I wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that.
Oh my goodness. So Bonnie, your characters talk to you. You're in cahoots with them. You're having a conversation with them.
Yes.
I love it. I do, because it makes sense to me. But you said something else when you started off, that we all of us, no matter what our generation might be, you said authentic. You want your characters to be authentic. And
yes.
When you said that, because it's something that I'm dealing with in a different way, I thought of the moral compass, which too many of us have put way on the backside, the dark side, way too far over. And so you're not attempting to make your characters goody two-shoes or Mother Teresa or the Dalai Lama, whatever, but you're attempting to give them a character that does the right thing and yet is full of love and so on and so forth. That's what I received. Am I way off on that?
No, you're right. Character? No, you're right.
Yeah. I think, but you know what? I love when you said your characters talk to you and they say, no, we wouldn't do that.
I think any writer will tell you that their characters go, you aren't doing this right. I wouldn't say that. They wouldn't do that. Maybe you should take it in this direction. And it's like, okay, we'll do that. And, And I think any writer does. You go back, you take things out, you change them as you're writing, and it makes you happy. But, talking about, making slight errors with your characters, although this wasn't with a character. I just wrote an article for a new magazine that's going to be coming out in the UK, and it was on shamanic dreaming. Okay. And part of shamanic dreaming is part of what you can do is you can go and you can ask, say, people that have crossed over, people from history. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the two examples I gave, were Martin Luther King Jr. And the Dalai Lama. Because I thought he had crossed over. Okay. Now, fortunately, the editor of this magazine and the individual who asked me to write for him, is a good friend. And I can see him laughing about this, and he says, Bonnie, are you sure the Dalai Lama's crossed over? Because I don't think so. I hadn't heard about it.
Oh my goodness, that is so
I did have to check that, and I said, okay, you're right. I said, can you take that out for me? And he goes, oh yeah, because it's going in his magazine. Like, I will take that out.
That is so funny. That is for several different reasons, but you have to educate me. I'm always open to learning. I think I understand, but what is shamanic dreaming? What is it?
Okay, with shamanic dreaming, it's partially what we call lucid dreaming. In other words, you know that you're dreaming. Okay, you go into these dreams, you ask for these dreams with intention, with a purpose.
I've heard the name shamanic, and I thought I understood it. But when you said it's lucid type of dream and you ask for that, I didn't know. Okay. And that's funny about the Dalai Lama.
I told my friend, I said, as soon as you told me that, and I was reading this in a text that he had sent through Messenger, I told him, I said, I could feel both Dr. Martin Luther King and the Dalai Lama laughing.
Unbelievable.
They thought it was funny.
Why not? Because I don't think any writer, no matter how serious they are, they have somewhere, maybe it shows and maybe it doesn't, but I think that humor would come through there and they would get a chuckle or two out of that. When we talk about cozy romance, where does someone like a Nora Roberts or a Barbara, what's her name? I think Nora Roberts might still be with us. I don't think Barbara Cartland is still with us.
No, I don't think Barbara Cartland is either. No, I love both of them. I love both of them.
She used to, I used to read some of, I haven't read all of them, but many of her books. But how different would your cozy romance novels be from the two that I just mentioned?
Okay. Basically, the two that you just mentioned were not small towns. They were, both these ladies wrote in like a big city atmosphere.
Good point.
And so mine is a small town. And I love both of those ladies. They write so well. They really do.
I thought so. Well, I enjoyed them because they were so, well, now I go back with a different viewpoint, but I think they were brilliant with their writing. And I loved and enjoyed both of them. But what you gave the key to me, and you mentioned it when we started out, Bonnie, small towns, the cozy and community environment is what and that's why the word cozy is there, because it's an intimate setting, and it's a community where I just watched a TV series. I think it was called Virgin River or something like that. But it was a community, and I really feel in my intuitive knowing that we're going back to that in a different way, but more community building, more community intimacy, getting to know, because somehow we've gone astray from that. The themes that you're writing in your mystery books, you already gave us the seed to, and I'm walking away with your characters talk to you. I love that. I think we all kind of knew that, but the way you said it, it resonated this time. Because you can't be a good writer if your characters don't speak to you, right? Am I off on that?
Nope, you're absolutely right. They will talk whether you want them to or not, whether you listen to them or not, they're going to talk.
And I don't think most of us who love writers and love reading, I don't think we think of it that way. But as soon as it's said, it resonates. It has its impact. So that makes a lot of sense. What are some of the themes that you use? I know it's small town. I know it's a community. I know it's cozy and there's no violence or explicit sex and foul language and cussing. But what other themes do you use that makes it juicy, enticing, and exciting for us to come and read?
Well, with my first mystery, well, it'll be for the first 6 mysteries because I'm going to do them in series of 6 books.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Talking about community, I put them in. Well, the first one, the mystery, I put in the business community. Okay. And, I have them doing, the business people talking to each other. I have them doing celebrations, the community's doing celebrations and things like that. Now, it's actually easier. I had to kind of work at that. It's actually easier for me to do the environment for my cozy romance because what I did, I lived in Seattle until I was 18 and went in the service. Mm-hmm. But what I did is I called the, it's a small city. It's bigger than a town, small city. Mm-hmm. Okay, I called it Silverdale. It's about an hour north of Seattle in my mind. Okay. Mm-hmm. It is a community that was built by robber barons. Okay. You've got 2 things up there. Okay. You've got the lumber. I shouldn't have said robber barons. It was lumber barons. Okay. My bad. And then the fishing community. And so both of those things come into it. Also, Silverdale pretty much has 2nd and 3rd generation of families living there. And so in her antique shop, part of what she can use to sell things is that she goes to estate sales, or sometimes they just bring things to her. People will bring things to her on consignment. And it has a local history behind it. And so it can sell to other locals, or people from Seattle come up on the weekends to visit there. Okay.
I like that. And you know what I like about it? Because what you're conveying to us, what you're sharing with us, Bonnie, is that even though the theme would be a business community, it's not the big corporate giants that most of us think about. It's a small, intimate community that's business oriented, and how you share the inner and everything about that community. That I like. And you talk about 2nd and 3rd generation. So that in itself. Bonnie, I don't know where the time goes, but you must tell us, and I don't think you mentioned it anywhere here, where do people go and what do they look for when they go to connect with you? I know your name, Bonnie Cehovet. I love the name, but how do they connect with you and how do they find you? Because this is audio and it's very different from all the live streaming I do. So tell us a little bit about how we can find you and connect with you and promote and help support you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can find me at bonniecehovet-author.com. That's my site. And you're going to say, Bonnie, it's only a cozy mystery site. Well, yeah, it started out that way. And when I brought the romance into it, I did go to WordPress and start to send up another site. And I thought, fooey on this, I'm going to put them both on the same site, basically. And that's a work in progress. You can find me on Facebook, Bonnie Cehovet.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Substack, bonniecehovet-substack.com. Okay. And on Substack, you can, I put out what I call Monday morning ramblings, just a little paragraph thing that I put out. And I put out a monthly newsletter. Okay. Now, I should warn that the newsletter is paid for. The Monday ramblings is not. Okay. And so, or I'm on LinkedIn as Bonnie Cehovet.
What I want you to do is send me, because somehow I overlooked it here, send me the best way in a text message or an email of how I can put on the poster that we'll be putting out for you, that people can connect with you. Are you connected, or I don't quite understand? Well, you're probably on Goodreads. Are you on Goodreads?
Oh, good heavens, yes.
Yes. They can connect.
I've done a lot of reviewing on Goodreads, and I'm also on
good.
Amazon as an author.
Good. And okay, so we're going to put the number 1 there for you. I don't know where the time goes, but I can only tell you that the love is real. The love is real. And I love the work you're doing. And I like it because cozy, whether it's romance or mystery, we're leaving out the explicit sex and the foul language and all of that other stuff that we just don't need. We need imaginations that flow in a wholesome way, wholesome and authentic. So thank you. Bonnie, hold tight while I say so long to those. And if you're tuning in and you're listening here, thank you for tuning in, because you're tuning in to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. And I am Joy Ruffin. I almost misconstrued my own name. You're a minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, and so much more. But your assignment, we love homework here, is to connect with Bonnie Cehovet. And she spells her last name Cehovet, but it's pronounced Cehovet. Bonnie is easy, but Cehovet, I wanted to make sure you get the spelling right. If something in today's conversation struck a chord, let's keep the conversation going. Visit with me at joyruffin.com to learn more about the work we do, the offerings, the sharings, and the message we're spreading today and together with you. You can also reach me directly at, and I have no fear, so I'm giving it out to you at my cell number, which is, you can text 772-240-9810, and that line leads directly to me. And visit with me if today's conversation sparks something in you. Are you ready to go deeper? Visit with me at my website, joyruffin.com. You'll find a space to connect, to explore, and tap into free resources that change and grow as we do. Whether it's style, leadership, divine femininity, equality, or power, you received a lot of tools today from our featured guest speaker, Bonnie Cehovet. So in living your truth, remember there's always something new waiting here for you, simply for you. So until the next time, my League of Eagles, I've given you a new name. Stay present, stay bold, and keep soaring. Every Tuesday and every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll be right here on Zen Radio/Fave, Unite Radio FM. Sending you much love, much love from my heart to yours, and all the best always. Take care. Much love. Cheers.